And we are recording, and I hate doing the sound levels for these because, well, it always looks like my normal speaking voice is low on the little sound indicator, but then when I emphasize something, then it starts clipping, so I don't know what to do. So, okay. Let's get on with this latest career destructive video. This is the post-convention LOTFP update, just what's going on, and not that I have a schedule exactly yet for what's coming up, but yeah. This was our second biggest Gen Con ever as far as sales. Our biggest ever was 2019, which shows that the internet is not real life, but we'll get into that later. Ropicon, which was the week before Gen Con, was up a whopping 20% over last year. But even so, 2019 and 2023 were bigger years. It's funny that the glory days of LOTFP had significantly smaller convention numbers than we do now. Seriously, from 2018 to 2019, when everything changed, we had an overall collapse of industry interest and support, but did 61% greater business year to year at Ropicon, 12% greater business at Gen Con. We also had greater sales 2018 to 2019 at GothCon, UK Games Expo, and Spiel year on year. Dragon Meat cratered though, dropping more than 50%. But 2025 beat 2018 at Dragon Meat though, so... But every convention so far this year is up over last year. We'll see if that continues for BeerCon, I forget, it's the Berlin one in October. We'll see if that continues for BeerCon and Dragon Meat this year. So, face-to-face interest is doing very well, getting better. Direct orders are flagging a bit though. Of course, it doesn't help that I've been telling people, save your pennies for Las Carcosa. So, hopefully that's the reason there. And for the most part, industry support continues to be in the shitter. The lack of US retail distribution beyond a few retailers we deal direct with still makes all of this seem like a slow-motion death spiral. The success through distribution was entirely why the glory days of LOTFP were the glory days. I don't have a delivery date yet for the rest of the Lost Carcosa print run, but we should have that quite soon. We sold 90 copies between Ropicon and Gen Con. Every copy we had. The green covers went quick, then yellow, finally blue. When the rest are delivered, I will make a video here and a website post and let people know the on-sale date, which will be the following Sunday at 9 p.m. finish time. I think that would be the most fair time of day and week for the most people who want to make sure that A, they get a copy, and B, get the color cover they want. The greens go real fast. If the conventions are an indication. Reminder that we will have 22 slipcase editions, which I have previously described as eye-wateringly expensive, and it looks like the price for those will be 750 euros. So maybe bowel-wateringly expensive would be more accurate. But again, at that price, we will break even on 11 of the sets sold out of the 22. Such low quantity, handmade, high-end shit is that expensive on our end. Some people at Ropicon and Gen Con were disappointed that the slipcases were not yet ready for those conventions, and they did not flinch when I quoted the upcoming price to them. Some people are maniacs, and bless them for it. Maybe if those actually sell through, I can actually afford that 330 euro box set of 45 Universal horror movies, 1923 to 1960, that Umbrella Entertainment is going to do a second run of. I was gutted when I missed the first printing a few months back because I couldn't afford it. And I was using that as the example for people that were like, what about this Lost Carcosa? Do I buy this or not? And I was able to say, hey, the pain the pain of paying the price is less than the pain of missing it. And I was able to use this Umbrella Entertainment Universal Horror box set as the example, and then I find out they're doing a second run, which we won't be doing on Las Carcosa. Anyway, one of the reasons I dared to release these collector-grade things is, well, when I can afford it, I am one of the maniacs. On the plus side for the slipcase editions, the price is over our free shipping threshold, so you won't be paying any extra for that. Woohoo! As for the €145 single book edition, and this is my personal copy, which after currency conversion or applying VAT was €165 at Ropacon, $160 at Gen Con. People who follow the videos here already knew the price, but the people who learned the price on the spot, some people didn't flinch. Some people did. The people that did flinch, the deciding factor for them of whether or not to get it seemed to be, the deciding factor was not whether they thought it was worth the price, but whether or not they could afford it. On the publisher end, when I make the decisions that lead to a book with this price point, of course I'm self-conscious about whether I'm releasing an actual thing of significant value or just a Homer car, because I know exactly one Simpsons episode. The fact that we ran through the entire stock at the conventions was a gigantic relief, but is not always an indication of how well the things do on the web store, but cross fingers. But it was also a sign that if you want one, you probably shouldn't wait too long. Again, we're not reprinting them. And again, if you want this green cover, the sacrifice cover, those seem to be very popular and go quick. So, I didn't bring a copy, but I've got 132 copies left of the Ennui of the Deep Delving Dungeoneer, which will go on sale at the same time. I don't look at internet commentary of LOTFP stuff beyond searching YouTube for reviews before making website posts, so I can only imagine what the first impressions are of the thing. But I can say the only in-person comments I've received have been positive. But those were from people who pay to attend conventions and prioritized reading my adventure overnight while the convention was going on, so that's not exactly the general public. I do expect some spicy takes on this one. Ennui will also not be reprinted. Maybe in anthology form years from now. Maybe. T-shirt sales at Gen Con were soft, and I think there were a number of factors there. What? Am I not a great model? The remaining stock is on sale through the US web store right now. We have sizes small through 5XL. And once again, at Gen Con, I saw a lot of big guys with their gut hanging out the bottom of their shirt. I get it. I do. It's really, really embarrassing knowing you've let yourself go enough to need a bigger shirt size. I've been on that trajectory this year, especially painful considering I was so good about going to the gym much of last year. But I'm emotionally fragile apparently, and I don't deal with setbacks very well, and I start spiraling and stop doing the stuff I should be doing. And I have had a number of those setbacks since the end of last year. So here I am. But nothing good comes from denying reality, and you can fool yourself into thinking you're still fitting into your clothes, but everyone can see when you can't. That's why I print up to 5XL. Not a lot, but some. There's no positive way to pitch that. When you start getting to the numbered XLs, there's something that's not quite right in your life. And even at my thinnest, the past 15, almost 20 years, my good weight still puts me in a 2XL. Fixing your life is difficult. Getting a shirt that fits, and one that represents your interests, shouldn't be so difficult. And if you're not in that target audience, celebrate having your shit together by purchasing game company merch. We've got your sizes too. Although it is kind of depressing that so much of my inspiration and mentality concerning art and creation comes from metal, yet I think most of my audience has no goddamn clue about this design or where the weird Crusher idea comes from in the first place. Oh, we passed out about 1,000 catalogs. Get it in the light, yep. Passed out about 1,000 of the catalogs at Gen Con. This thing is 48 pages this year. Some product information, lots of adventure material. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 adventures in this one. But to me, the last page was most important. Inspirational music, movies, and stories. If anyone's attracted to the game material, that's great. And a few people who got the catalog did come back later in the convention to buy stuff because they were impressed. But if I can turn just one person on to Arcturus or Return of the Living Dead, it's almost like that's more worth it. If someone isn't into RPGs, fine. If they're into RPGs but not LOTFP, okay. Everyone is entitled to their own taste. But they haven't heard of a band I think is transcendental? They haven't seen a movie that took me to places heretofore unknown? That is a problem that must be fixed. Oh, I had recently posted that I think people have to quote their favorite Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter line to me before I talk to them. Because Hammer had put the full movie on their YouTube page, so I thought, no excuse, you have to quote a line. And the one person who did it, I completely missed that's what they were doing, and I was wondering what was wrong with this crazy person just saying random weird shit at me at the booth. My excuse, I was tired after all the travel, and they fucked up the flights again. And I was in the middle of dealing with 65,000 members of the public, personally. That was me. The point of this little bit, one thing I think gets sidelined in people who settle into RPG communities is they get a little too insular with RPG inspiration, as in their inspiration for gaming is just RPG material. You see it in a lot of OSR product. Their inspiration is just old D&D. But the inspiration for D&D was not other games. It was applying outside media influence onto wargaming, and D&D is what came out. I was recently part of a live stream to benefit the RPG Creator Relief Fund that raised, the benefit raised over $1,000, and the question of how to market games came up. Not that I'm an expert at it. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think I'm dog shit at marketing, especially since I'm not at all interested in using social media to do it these days. But in the moment, in my post-travel mental fatigue, I didn't think of a key point that I should have. I think the least important thing about a game is how you roll the dice. The most important thing about a game is the atmosphere it tries to achieve. When people at the conventions come up to the table and ask me what system the games use, I have to try to keep a poker face and not roll my eyes at them for asking such an inconsequential question. Are you familiar with the OSR? It's an OSR game. Done. If they're not familiar with the OSR, I just say, it uses late 70s, early 80s D&D as a rules base. Done. How are you different from everything else? Or even, how are you different from other OSR games? That's the good question, and it's an easy question to answer. Heavy metal horror movie attitude. And I can point them to Don't Fuck the Priest and Fecal Lands as extreme examples of how that plays out. Yeah, Nebulith and Disastrum, and I need to get used to saying Lost Carcosa, but I suspect that won't be around long. Yeah, Nebulith and Disastrum are the quality linchpins, but Don't Fuck the Priest and Fecal Lands gets the how are you different point across right away. Quality is subjective. Don't fuck the priest is a fact. And it seemed more people than ever were attracted to the more extreme stuff. White Power, WIGHT, was the first thing to sell out at Gen Con. Curse of the Daughter Brides didn't sell out, but a lot of people were drawn to it, picked it up, showed it to their friends, made all sorts of faces just looking at the cover. Some of the people I was really worried about being into it for the wrong reasons, but the money from a pervert is the same as money from a shy nerd having a naughty giggle. But I know that focusing on that sort of thing poorly serves the releases that don't feature the more explicit or extreme content. But to me, it's kind of all the same thing. Nebulith and Disastrum are extreme statements in their own way, just as idiosyncratic and out of step with what anyone else is doing, just in a way without tits and intestines and pedo jokes. Besides, once someone starts paging through Nebulith or Disastrum or Red and Pleasant Land, they don't need me to sell those books. The people start raving about how beautiful they are. Anyway, for all the good my marketing knowledge does, I would think the most important thing when it comes to marketing is to have a product you believe in 1,000%. Not 100%, 1,000%. You need to believe in this thing beyond all proportion and reality of what it actually is. Forget trying to conceive of your competition on the internet, which is every creative work ever made in any medium throughout history. And when you think of it that way, even one sale ever is a fucking miracle. Just think of a space like the Gen Con vendor hall. 1,000 booths are trying to get you to buy shit from them. How are you going to stand out? Well, when you sit down to decide what to make, what's popular? Not important. What do people want? Who gives a shit? What will drive me to finish it and what will allow me to easily talk the ears off of anyone who asks about it? That's the stuff. So all you aspiring RPG writers out there, ask yourself 2 questions. What's my favorite RPG? What are my favorite 2 movies? And that's your product. Apply your favorite 2 movies to your favorite game system, and when there's a conflict, bend the system to the movies and not the other way around. If your instinct is that the movies and the system don't match up well, good. Best case scenario. That means you're exploring uncharted territory, something nobody else has done, or else you'd have an example of how they do match. Death Frost Doom, which wasn't exactly uncharted territory, but Death Frost Doom was D&D plus Evil Dead 2 and Night of the Living Dead. Stuff that I could talk your ear off about. And that was the formula for a long-lasting publishing empire established just like that. Will your combo be successful? Well, give it a few years of building a catalog of things you really want to do. You'll at least be a cult hit, guaranteed. Following the current trends are foolish because even if you finish and release your thing when the trend is hot, you still have to stand behind it and maybe even still be selling it after the trend passes. If you're just after the cash, why in God's name are you trying to do that in RPGs? Surely there are easier and more lucrative ways to make money. The problem I have with marketing and advertisement is that all of us, but I'm mostly concerned with me here, I'm just bombarded with this shit constantly. Can't go to a website without ads. In my email, ads. Go outside, ads on garbage cans and bus stops. If you talk to a human, they speak in advertising lingo. Oh man, that's so iconic. And no, shut the fuck up. Go to Gen Con, giant ads everywhere, all over the walls, hanging from the ceiling, in all the public spaces, not just in each individual booth. Even when I went to take a shit, there's an ad staring me in the face on the inside of the stall door. You won't find treasure where you're sitting. Like, fuck you. That's a particularly egregious example, but it's all digital and visual pollution, and I don't want to add to any of that. That's why I like handing out these catalogs. Or back when I was allowed to do free RPG Day, that was great, because it's not just a bit of flash and a slogan, it's an actual product, a working example of what we actually do here. And add that, if you're the target audience, has value in and of itself because it is itself a usable thing. Well, yeah. It's been a few hours since I wrote that paragraph, and in the time since, someone had a challenge for me. How long into a certain video can you last before shutting it off in confused disgust? We'll see if my mic picks up the sound. If not, consider yourself lucky. Let's see if this works.
So fear in Daggerheart is an important...
I'll be taking this one.
Where did you come from?
Matt said I get to be Fear Daddy for just...
No, he didn't say that.
He absolutely said that.
Well, there is only one way for us to settle that, and that is by spending some fear.
Let's rock.
Well, I'm jumping into the spotlight, so take that.
No, I'm jumping in.
That's how far I got. The fact that those people make more money in this industry than I do makes me want to kill myself. Witnessing this combination of milquetoast charisma void and hint of S&M naughtiness, Fear Daddy, makes me feel like... I imagine that feels like getting a cancer diagnosis would. I can turn the video off, but I've not been able to get that shit out of my head. Who the fuck is this supposed to appeal to? At least when I do naked shit on camera, I'm not trying to be cute and relatable. I'm weaponizing my own self-disgust to make you feel that way too. It's a completely different thing. What the fuck is this? Is this what actually attracts people? Is it? Or are they succeeding in spite of themselves? I don't know. I mean, at least when, for example, Ginny D does her shtick, she's talking about fairies, so it matches. This shit. How should we talk about this game's fear mechanic? This is for the Critical Role RPG, right? The thing made up of professional voice actors? Well, instead of getting any of them involved, let's put the human equivalent of wet cardboard on camera and have them embarrass themselves. How much does everybody involved have to hate Crawford and Perkins to actually release that video where people can see it? What a world. Oh, speaking of Matt Mercer shit. This graph, oh shit. I can show the graphic or I show my face. There we go. This graphic here, it was on the table at Gen Con and RoboCon, but at Gen Con especially, it got lots of attention. The internet is not good for you, stand up. That got lots of attention, and even 2 people spending money at the booth just because I was displaying it. But the Mercer thing, lots of people pointing and laughing at it, or sometimes making scrunchy, frowny faces, but a decent number of people stopped and asked me what the deal was with the graphic. And just like with the shirt, people don't recognize where this comes from. Can I show you up front? Can you see that? Okay, let's get it back in the light. Yeah, people don't understand where the graphic comes from. It's uneducated, culturally dead people. Ugh. Why aren't you all into what I'm into? Anyway, people would come to ask me what the deal is with this graphic. And that's when I have them. Because when someone comes to me to ask about my shit, I got that. I'm comfortable as fuck talking about that in ways I absolutely am not when just trying to flag random people down to try to sell to them. I believe that Matt Mercer popularized RPGs as a spectator sport as opposed to being something you do yourself, and popularized RPGs as a performance rather than as a game. or he's the figurehead of such things. That's it. Not saying Matt Mercer is a bad person. I don't know anything about the man. I just really hate his influence on the RPG space. It's like, I'm so glad that I hit it with my axe, never caught on really big. The whole thing of watching other people play RPGs as entertainment? No, 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 as far as I'm concerned. Oh, and I've got some other things, around the circle. No Borg. So, Mark Borg, comes along 11 years after LOTFP, supported by a larger publisher when LOTFP was at its lowest point, using some former LOTFP talent. Yeah, that's on the next page. About that former LOTFP talent. At every single convention that I do, there are always requests for Veins of the Earth. People stopping by. Do you have Veins of the Earth? No. And they move on. I think I might be being pranked, that this is some meme thing. Oh, go ask Jim about Veins of the Earth. Or not. Maybe it's genuine interest, which means there is a ton of interest in this book. Dozens of people at Gen Con asking for it. So, Patrick, Scrap, if you don't want me to handle it, fine. But get over yourselves and do something with it already yourselves, you lazy fucks. People are literally clamoring for it. Anyway, back to Mork Borg. So Mork Borg gets tons of hype, and now it's seen as the dark and metal RPG, even though it's obviously holding back and has limits. Fine, whatever. But there have been situations where people look at my table at conventions and say, reminds me of Mork Borg. And fuck you. I actually growled in an involuntary reflex way at someone that said that at the UK Games Expo this year. Next thing on the graphic. No fun? That's how I first got attention in the RPG space. My 2008 essay, I Hate Fun. I've read it on this channel as its own video before. Go look that up. And then it says no trends on there. Touched on this a bit earlier, but I could not give a shit what is popular, what the public wants. Dungeon Crawler Carl was a big thing at Gen Con this year. I was advised to lean into that. It's like, no, I can't. I don't know anything about it. So it would be fake to try to say, hey, you're into that. I did tell a few people, hey, you're into Dungeon Crawler Carl. They're wearing a shirt. Well, I've been told to tell you that my stuff might be relevant. That's the sales pitch I was given for that a few times before I thought, that sounds stupid. I need to stop doing that. But what we do here at Lamentations is what we do, regardless. I mean, we don't chase the trends. Actually, with Mork Borg being successful and now Wizards of the Coast bringing back Dark Sun with 80s anime edgy promo cartoons, it would seem that the trends chase us. So, fuck off. And then also says no AI on there. And disclosure, we used AI once for an ad we put in the back cover of the free catalog we gave away at Gen Con 2023. That was a mistake, and I apologize for that. But otherwise, no AI in creating art or writing. None. Zero. I don't use AI ever. Ever for anything. Even the ad. I paid someone else to put that together. I didn't touch the shit. I'm fucking pissed that Google gives AI summaries on top of searches without an option to turn it off. Why does my PDF reader have an option for AI summaries? I didn't ask for that. I don't want it. I hate it. I don't download an app to my phone to buy something. Everything, especially in the US. Download the app. Fuck you. I don't even use the checkout robots at the grocery store. Even though this is here in Finland. They're understaffing the live person checkout lanes, so the lines are 10 people long, and the robot lanes are completely free. I still wait for the people. And yeah, if you use AI in your day-to-day life, I guess I do think less of you. Even at my most housebound, depressed states, at least it's an entirely human, housebound, depressed state. Fuck the modern world. Speaking of housebound, depressed states, while in Indianapolis on the convention floor, I was sent a link to a Toronto Sun story that said that not only did Zach win his court case against Mandy last fall and get awarded a pile of money, but now her appeal has been rejected and she owes him even more money. That's a hell of a thing to read by surprise on the when you're getting ready to open up the booth for the day. There might have been a little bit of ugly crying on the convention floor. Might have been. And I'm going to say, once again, as when this was fresh, I was told I pulled defeat from the jaws of victory. I will say, I am actually shocked that Zach won the case. Not because I had any insight into their relationship or what happened during it, because I didn't. But I figured the disabled Canadian girl alleging abuse just wasn't going to lose a case in Canadian court to an American punk rock looking motherfucker with his online footprint. It didn't occur to me that him winning would even be possible. It's like, regardless of the facts of the case. Yeah. So that does mean I started publishing Zach again before the case was settled, fully assuming and expecting he'd lose. I'm guessing right now there are people yelling at me on the screen about what the fuck is wrong with you. But I did that because finding my balls and actually living up to my ideals about the freedom of art and who's allowed to create in the public space is more important than my prosperity or my life. But he won, so I'm just publishing a guy that does great work. So much for being a martyr for my ideals. I can't win for losing. Well, I say so much for being a martyr for my ideals. The whole Zach and Mandy thing cost me many professional relationships and a lot of personal ones. A whole lot of projects never happened because of it. Projects that were supposed to happen. I've been teetering on the edge of economic ruin at various points over the last 7.5 years, directly because of it. Being ostracized from how many online communities, how many businesses and promotional opportunities were lost because of it. The attempts to blacklist and punish people for working with me. It happened again this year. It was directly responsible for the destruction of my mental health, and I have the SSRI prescriptions and therapy appointments to prove that. And being on those drugs wrecked so many more of my personal relationships. And they also resulted in an even more severe degradation of my physical health, including weight gain when I was on the drugs, and that wasn't in a good place to start with. And because of that, I became half crippled. It was 4 years ago now that my legs just went. It's usually better now, but even at Gen Con, just a little over a week ago, I was having to lean on the wall to get from the bed to the toilet in the hotel room because I was overdoing things, and I could not stand on my own 2 feet unsupported for a while. I couldn't even shower before the convention that day because of it. It's a straight line from there to here. And for what? Seriously, what was all that for? What's the excuse now from all the people that ran away or that attacked? For what they did, for what they tried to do, to anyone who dared disagree with them about what to think or what to do about the whole situation? Nothing. As it turns out, there's no reason for any of this. Now, I'm obviously not a good predictor when it comes to these sorts of things, but I don't expect anything to change. I don't expect any doors to open back up, for anybody to speak up and say, whoopsie, my bad, I was wrong. I expect if there's any reaction, it'll be something along the lines of, well, I was fighting the good fight, so it doesn't matter that I was wrong in this case and people's lives were affected. I can't wait to do the same thing the next time there's industry controversy, because I'm so special. When I hurt people, it's a good thing. But I understand. Because any concession whatsoever that other views can be valid, any admission of wrongdoing or error about anything, is seized as a victory by your enemies and makes your friends angry with you. It really sucks. Everything is so deeply, deeply fucked up. Well, if the world worked the way it should, a whole lot more than this would be different, that's for sure. So what are you going to do? Except keep on keeping on as best you can. Just want to clarify something though, because I know people listen to me and use it as an excuse to be a dipshit. I criticize people, I criticize actions on this channel, in this video. Matt Mercer and Mork Borg, hell, Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, they're not doing anything wrong. They're allowed to do what they're doing, and I'm allowed not to like it. I'm allowed to say so. And that's all it is, and that should be the end of it. I'm not trying to get you to do anything as a result. It's not a call to action. If you want a call to action, buy LOTFP books. Complete your LOTFP collection. That's it. That's all I really want you to do. If you're looking for activism, okay. If you see someone who's getting censored, especially if you're seeing creative work being restricted, fight that. Even if it means defending the work of people you really don't like and who don't like you. Evelyn Beatrice Hall's summary of Voltaire's philosophy, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Those are words to live by. I'm told I'm naive for believing in that, but being naive seems better than the alternative in this case. Because to me, no belief, no reality is so precious that it is immune to dissent, disagreement, or even ridicule. So then, setting up the booths, especially at Gen Con, is such a pain in the ass. But then you get to look at the booth, and you'll get just right there, laid out, organized, see everything that me and everyone else has accomplished during the 17 years that LOTFP has managed to exist. And for all our missteps, setbacks, and failures, who else in this industry has produced such a catalog of great and awesome things? I would love to be able to say nobody, but the truth is, there are a couple companies you can make an argument for, but just a couple. This industry is mostly, but not completely, a creative wasteland, you know? But, Lost Carcosa soon. Look out for it.